Hello everyone, let's get started with today's practice. We're going to start in a wide-legged child's pose, so have the big toes together, knees are wide apart, and the forehead rests gently on the mat. We'll stay here for a few moments to connect to the breath and settle into this practice. So on an inhale, breathe in through the nostrils, allow the air to fill up your lungs. Let's now walk our hands in towards us so we could come up into a neutral tabletop position. Let's send our right foot towards the back of the mat and we'll press the heel towards the back of the room to give yourself a bit of a calf stretch. Take that right foot now and place it on the left side so that it comes off of the mat, and then we turn towards the left so that we look at our right toes or our right foot. Then bring yourself back to a neutral position, and now we take that right heel, place it on the mat so we open up to the right side, and then swing that right arm down and around so that the right bicep is by the right ear. And think about there being a long line all the way from your right foot out through those right fingertips. Now let's bring that right hand up towards the ceiling, engage the core here, and then lift that right foot off of the ground so that the leg is parallel to the mat. If you want to go a bit further here, bend into that right knee to grab hold of that right foot with that right hand. Think about opening up the chest outwards, arching the spine, and pressing that foot into that hand. Now release the foot. Let's bring that right hand back down to the mat, and then let's bring the right foot forward and place it on the outside of that right hand. And think about sinking into those hips here. Now let's send the hips towards the back. As we do so, we straighten that right leg and flex that right foot. Think about elongating your spine while you're in this half split. Now let's sit back on our hips, so you can rest your hips on the foot if that's comfortable for you. And then we just stretch out in front of us. If you can reach, grab hold of that right foot. And think about bringing the crown of the head closer towards the right foot while we're here. Now lift yourself up, and we're going to bend into our right knee, and then we'll send that right leg or right foot up into the sky. So the leg is on a 45-degree angle here. And while we're here, we're still thinking about elongating up through the spine and out through the crown of the head. Now release that right foot back down. We'll go back onto our hands and knees, and we'll repeat that on the other side. So let's begin by taking that left foot back towards the back of the mat and then doing some heel presses here to give your calf a bit of a stretch. And then let's take that left foot, bring it over to the right so it comes off of the mat, and then we turn our head towards the right side so that we look at that left foot. Let's come back into a neutral position. And then from here, we drop that left heel onto the ground as we open up the chest and hips to the long edge of the mat. And now let's engage the core, send that left arm or hand into the sky, and then lift that left foot off of the mat so that the left leg now is parallel to the floor. If you want to go a little bit further here, bend into the left knee and grab hold of the foot with your left hand. And as you do so, make sure you arch the spine, send the chest forward, and press the foot into that hand. Now release the foot, drop the left hand to meet the mat. Let's take that left foot forwards towards the top of the mat and place it on the outside of that left hand. And while we're here, you sink into the hips. Think about sending them forward. Good, and then let's slowly start to bring the hips towards the back of the mat, and we straighten our left leg here and flex that left foot. Remember to continue thinking about bringing the crown of the head closer to the foot to help elongate the spine. Now let's send those hips all the way down to the mat. Again, you can rest on the foot if that's comfortable. And now let's reach our arms forward and try to grab hold of that left foot as you elongate your spine. From here, let's bend into the left knee, and then we bring that left foot up into the sky on a 45-degree angle as we straighten the left leg. Again, think about maintaining a long spine here. Good, and now let's drop that left foot down to the ground. We swing that leg around, come back into a neutral tabletop position, and this time let's press up into our downward facing dog. Take any additional movements here that you need to help open up the body and then come to find some stillness in this posture. Now let's lift that right foot up into the sky and send it forward to the top of the mat. The foot comes on the outside of that right hand. And we're here in our lizard pose. So you could drop down on that left knee if you like. I'm staying up here. You could also come down to the forearms if you like. You can see I'm adding some movement back and forth. And then let's press into that left hand so we can reach that right arm towards the top of the mat and then send it towards the back. As you do so, we drop the hips down towards the mat. And then on an inhale, let's press into the foot and hand as we lift the hips back up. And now on an exhale, we bend into the right elbow as we send the hips down. On an inhale, reach back up once again. Exhale, we lower the hips down. One more inhale, lift up, and then let's drop that right hand, turn yourself to face the mat, and then let's swing that right shin around to come into our pigeon pose. Exhale, bring yourself down towards the mat. You can also use a block here and place it underneath your sit bone or your thigh here to help square the hips. And allow yourself here to relax into this position. Good, and start to lift yourself back up. Let's bend into that left knee, and we're going to take the left hand and bring it towards the back of the mat so that you grab hold of that left foot. And as you do so, you're opening up the chest to the sky on the left side. Now lift yourself up. If you want to go a little bit further, you can see I'm reaching my right hand around so that I try and grab hold of my left hand. And again, if you don't have this position, you can see what I'm doing. I keep trying to get into it. So if you falter or fall out of it, no worries at all. Just try to play around with this pose if it feels good in your body. You could also stay where you were and just grab hold of that left foot with the left hand. All right, and now everyone release that the left foot back down, and let's press up into our downward facing dog. We take that right foot into the sky and then bring it back down. Let's repeat that on the other side. Taking the left foot into the sky, then bend the knee, send the left foot forward, bring it on the outside of that left hand. And once again, come into your lizard. Could drop down to the right knee if you like, but otherwise keep yourself lifted here. Then let's press into the right hand. As we do so, we bring that right hand towards the top of the mat and then around towards the back. And as we do so, we drop the hips. On an inhale, let's press into the hips, lift them back up. And on an exhale, we bend into the elbow as we lower the hips. One more time. Inhale, press up. Exhale, we bend and lower. Inhale, we press back up. This time, let's bring ourselves back around to face the top of the mat. Then we swing that left shin over to come into our pigeon on the left side. So lower yourself back down to the mat. And once again, while you're here, release into this asana and try to reconnect back to your breath if you lost it. Let's slowly lift ourselves back up, bend into that right knee and send that right hand towards the back of the mat to grab hold of your foot as you open up the chest to the right side. Good, and from here, if you want to go a little bit further, lift yourself up, and then with that left hand, reach it towards the right and see if you can grab hold of the right hand as you come into this mermaid pose. You can see my right foot is being supported and is in the nook of my right elbow. And as you can see, I keep coming out of it. So once again, explore and play in this position. If you come out of it, try to get back into it. Now let's release that right foot back down, press into the hands to send that left foot back for a three-legged dog, and then drop that left foot down to the mat. Now let's lift the right foot, bring the right foot forward towards the top of the mat. We drop that left knee down to the ground. And then on an exhale, let's send the hips towards the back of the mat. As we do so, we straighten that right knee and flex the right foot. Let's bend back into that right knee. Drop the hips here. Think about sending them forward. And then on an exhale, send the hips towards the back as you come back into your half split. Once again, bend back into the knee. And then on an exhale, come back into your half split. Let's send the hips forward one more time. And then from here, let's bend into that left knee, reach that right hand around to grab hold of that left foot. So you're still sinking into the hips here as you're twisting and turning your chest up towards the sky on the right side. And then you can stay here, or if you want to go a little bit further, try to bring yourself so that your chest faces towards the top of the mat, and then lift your arms, and with your hands, try to send them towards the back as you arch the spine and lift the chest and head towards the sky. So if you have a strap here, it will be really great to use, and you can hook it around your foot. I did not, so you can see I'm just imitating what the pose or what my body would look like if I had a strap or was using one. And again, you can play around with this position. If you come out, that's okay. Just try to get back into it if it feels good in your body. And then from here, let's drop the hands. We're going to open up the chest and hips now to the left side of the mat to come into our Skandasana. So hands are at prayer position, just over heart center. And while we're here, we're turning our chest up towards the sky. And then let's come and bring ourselves up. So both legs are straight, all toes face towards the long edge of the mat. On an inhale, we lift up with the chest. And then on an exhale, we fold, bring the crown of the head closer to the mat. And then let's bend into that left knee to come into a Skandasana on the other side. Good, and now from here, let's turn ourselves so that we now face towards the back of the mat, and then lift yourself up so you come into a high lunge. And let's cycle through it. We're gonna go back to make our way to the front again. So let's come back into our Skandasana on the left side. Now let's press up to meet in the middle. Both legs are straight. On an inhale, we press up. Exhale, we fold. And then let's bend into the right knee to come into Skandasana on the other side. And then let's bring ourselves to face towards the top of the mat. Once again, we drop that left knee to the ground. And then send the hips back as we straighten that right knee. And then from here, if you want to try going into your split, go for it. You can see I'm using a block to support myself. But also remember that if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to try your split here. You could stay in your half split. If you are going for your full split, make sure that your hips are facing towards the top of the mat. And then gently bring yourself out of it. Good. From here, let's press back into a child's pose just to reset. And then we're going to press up into a downward facing dog and repeat that on the other side. So we lift the left foot up and then send it towards the top of the mat. We drop the right knee onto the floor. Hold it here for a moment. Sink into those hips. Make sure your chest is still lifted here. And then on an exhale, send the hips towards the back as you straighten that left leg and flex the left foot. Let's bend back into that left knee as you bring your hips forward once again. And on an exhale, send the hips towards the back and straighten the left leg. Let's go one more time. On an inhale, come forward, bend into the left knee. Exhale, we send the hips towards the back for a half split. And then from here, we're going to bend into the right knee, send the left hand towards the back. If you can reach, grab hold of that right foot as you open up the chest to the left side. Good. And then from here, let's bring ourselves so that we face towards the top of the mat and then reach up and back with your hands. And again, use a strap here if you like. We still keep that right knee bent as we arch the spine. Good. And release from here. Drop the hands to the mat. Let's swivel ourselves over so our chest and hips open up to the right long edge of the mat. Coming into our Skandasana once again. On an inhale, let's press up to center. Both legs are straight. Toes are facing the long edge of the mat. On an inhale, let's press up. And then an exhale, we fold. And walk the hands over to the right side as we bend into that right knee and come into our Skandasana on the other side. Again, open up the chest to the ceiling. And then let's swivel around so that we face the back of the mat as we press up into a high lunge. Still think about sinking into those hips here. Let's come back into our Skandasana on this side. And then on an inhale, let's press up to the middle of the mat. On an inhale, we lift up, and an exhale, we fold. Walk the hands over towards the top of the mat as we bend into the left knee and come into our Skandasana. And then let's turn to face the top of the mat. Let's drop that right knee now to the floor. And then on an exhale, send the hips towards the back as you come into a half split. And from here, if you're going further into this position, try to go into your full split on the left side. So again, you can use a block for additional support underneath you. But make sure that your hips are square here. Chest is facing towards the top of the mat. And then gently bring yourself out of the position. Good. Let's press back into a child's pose once again. Now let's bring ourselves up, and we're going to come into the middle of the mat, facing the long edge of the mat. It doesn't matter which direction you choose. Now let's open up the legs here, so feet are by the corners of the mat. And then we're going to take that right hand and reach it towards the left foot. While we're here, we're opening up the chest to the sky once again and reaching out through those fingertips. Good, and now let's bring ourselves so that we turn and face towards the leg. So let's try to bring the crown of the head towards the left foot. And again, if you have a strap here, it could be helpful to use. Now let's walk the hands over to the middle, and on an inhale, let's lift up. On an exhale, we bring ourselves down closer to the floor. And you can use a block here and place it underneath your head if you want the support. Let's just hang out in this position. Think about releasing the tension in your lower back. Good, and you can remove the block if you were using one. Let's walk the hands now over to that right foot. And once again, we're facing towards that right leg I'm bringing the crown of the head closer to that right foot. And now let's open up. So we open up the chest, bring that left hand up and around, and try to reach out through those left fingertips. The chest is turning and facing towards the sky. And now let's bring yourself back up. We're going to do one more fold in the middle here. So just walk your hands forward. And once again, allow the upper body to hang heavy here. See if you could go a little bit further this time. Slowly walk your hands back towards you to lift yourself back up. We're going to take the hands behind us now and press into the hands as we push ourselves up into the sky. Open up the chest, send the hips forward, and then release. Bring yourself back down. Let's turn again to face the top of the mat. And we'll bend into the knees and just curl in here. Give yourself a nice hug. Round the spine, tuck the chin into the chest. And now let's cross the feet to bring ourselves up onto our mat. So the feet are close together on an inhale. Let's press the hands into the shins to lift ourselves up to a flat back. Exhale to release into a fold. And then we're going to bend into the left knee. The left hand is still on the mat or on a block as you lift that right hand into the sky and turn the chest to the right. Bring that right hand back down. On an inhale, we lift up the chest for a flat back. Exhale to release into a fold, and now we do that on the other side. So now we bend into the right knee. The left leg remains straight, and we open up to the left side. So the left arm comes into the sky. Drop that left hand back down. We press up once again into a flat back on an inhale. Exhale to release, and then inch by inch, slowly begin to roll yourself all the way up to come into a standing position. Good, and now bring the feet about hip-width distance apart. Turn the toes outwards on a 45-degree angle. We lift up with our arms, and then on an exhale, we bend into the knees as we lower the hips down to the mat. You can use a block here and place it underneath you if you like. The hands are pressed together over heart center. And while we're here, we're thinking about elongating again through the spine and out through the crown of the head. Drop the hands back down. Remove the block if you were using it. Let's lift the hips back up once again. And on an inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. And then on an inhale, bring yourself all the way up into a mountain pose. Reach the hands up and then press them down through heart center. And that is it for this flow. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how it was for you in the comments. And I hope to see you at the next one. Bye for now.